Welcome to Latinas with a Mic. I'm your host, Jennifer.
And I'm your host, Rosa.
And today, we're having with us a really special guest, right? So, just for those that know, we live in Memphis. We're based in Memphis. And right now, Memphis, we're not going through the best crime ever, honestly. Yeah, things are really happening. And even just because it can be something that happened to you on the streets or just a cute joke with a freaking neighbor that can get you to get killed just out of nothing, right? Yeah. So, and which I'm going to tell you later about this. And that's why today we have it with us, our not creepy at all, funeral director, Esperanza King right here, best known as Espi.
Espi.
Right?
Yes. Welcome, Espi.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you because we want to talk about this.
Okay.
We want to talk about everything.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, honestly, actually, she's also our first funeral home, Hispanic funeral home. Mm-hmm. So that is owned by a Hispanic woman.
Uh-huh.
That is so
come on.
amazing.
When you talk about woman entrepreneur and woman power, that's that.
Thank you. Gracias. Sí,
That's so amazing. And we really need that here. Honestly, we need it everywhere because I just went through a loss in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they were having so many issues finding just the right funeral services and also information about how to send the body back, like a lot of things,
Yeah, like what to do in case of.
Yeah.
And nobody want to talk about it.
No.
Ay, mijo, no hables de eso. Oh, let's don't bring it to, don't talk about it. And it's like, no, we need to talk about it because it's like,
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm remembering the joke. So our cameraman just made a joke. I'm not gonna say it, but I was telling Johnny and Espi when we first started. There's so many jokes. But we're gonna be serious.
I told her she can do her jokes. It's okay. I mean,
But do you want to say anything about yourself that maybe our listeners that don't know you?
Yeah, like those that don't know you, who are you?
So my name is Esperanza King. I'm here from Memphis. I just opened my funeral home, La Paloma Funeral Services. Yes, La Paloma. So we're brand new, but I've been in the industry for about 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
So I've been doing this for a long time with some other funeral homes. And so the Hispanic community is just one that needs this service and needs someone que habla español. Like,
Yeah.
funerals are not cheap. You're spending at least $6,000. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. And so
Look at that. I didn't know that.
It's easy.
I thought it was more, to be honest.
And more. I mean,
I want to say like 10,000.
That's like the
like
cheapest.
10.
Yeah.
Like 10 is
Yeah.
about the average. But this is a lot of money, and it's important that people understand what they're paying for.
Exactly.
And that they
Exactly.
understand that what they're getting, this is what they're paying for, and that they really just get what they ask for, and that they have
There
somebody
you
to
go.
communicate with.
Absolutely, because that's one of the main complaints that we get from the Hispanic people. Like I told you, I was asking some people about if they have any questions, but we're gonna get to that later on. Right now, I just want to know, why a funeral home? I mean, maybe because you've been in the service, in the industry for that long, but what made you say like, yes, I'm opening my own funeral home?
And then with that, like, what makes La Paloma so unique for Latinos?
So I came into the funeral industry just out of, like, very random. Like,
Okay.
I walked into the funeral home. I was just being nosy. And I started working for them and started doing marketing for them. I was a marketing major.
Okay.
I'm also an attorney. But the funeral industry, I really got back into it heavy during COVID because it's one of those things where, regardless of what's going on, like, this is still happening. COVID was just a really, really tough time for the funeral industry and the community. And so I really got into it.
It was a busy time for the funeral.
It was unfortunately very busy, and it was hard, to see these people coming back and back again. So recently I decided, let me just do this on my own.
Exactly. I don't have to deal with this for other people. Let me just do my own.
And I can set my own prices. I can discuss everything directly with them, and I control everything. So this is really exciting for me, and also just better for the community because I can give them a better price.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was thinking, like, what I was mentioning earlier about that person in Indianapolis that passed away. And I remember my mom calling me and saying, do you know how we can send the body back? Or they were trying to do the arrangements for the funeral and stuff. And she told me they had this one lady who was telling them that they had to pay this outrageous price. And this lady was like, I don't remember the amount.
Was the lady you told me?
Yeah. Did I tell you the amount? I don't remember.
No, you didn't tell me the amount. But it's this one lady that everybody uses.
Oh, no, that's the one.
Here in Memphis.
Yeah, here.
Okay, no.
But,
okay. So you didn't tell me about that one.
It was this lady who was reaching out and saying, like, do not contact the consulate. Do not contact anybody for information. Like, I'm telling you how much it is, and this is how much you have to pay, and you don't need to talk to anybody else. And so my mom was like, I just feel like it's too much money. And I'm like, why would she ever advise you not to go to the consulate? Because the consulate is one of those places that if Hispanics have questions, like, they can get some guidance.
Yeah.
And as far as when people pass away and even getting help with sending the body back, you know. But I was like, oh, no, mommy, like, that lady right there, you want to stay away from. But Hispanics deal with that. My mom had me to at least call me and ask me, you know. But imagine the people that don't know better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
They get scammed a lot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and especially with the language barrier, you know, they just don't have anybody to turn to. So at least being able to communicate to them in the language makes it a lot easier.
Hello.
Yeah.
And then you just want to be as transparent as possible. Like, they're already grieving. They're already in this state of confusion that they don't even know what's really going on. Like, planning a funeral is almost like planning a wedding in a week, you know?
I can see that.
But just the
And with that
opposite,
price?
you know? The price you're paying, the chapel, the setup, the people, you have family coming in, food, beverages, who's going to speak.
Ceremony,
Yeah,
all
the
of that.
ceremony, and then the cost. But you're condensing that into less than a week.
Yeah.
And so it can get...
While you're grieving.
And a lot of times you just want to get through it. Like, you just want to get
you just
past
do
it. Like,
it?
just do it. So here, how much I have to pay. I really like what you said about the Hispanic community, saying, like, they just need to know what they're paying for. You know, I think that's a huge thing, because a lot of times they might not even, in their moment of pain, they're not thinking of, like, you know, give me a breakdown, or is this really what it costs? And so a lot of people can take advantage of very vulnerable people like that, you know?
And funeral homes are supposed to give you like a detailed list of an itemized list of everything that you're paying for, and you're supposed to really like go through it and explain it. But then when it comes to the shipping, you know, not everybody is very familiar with international shipping. So that's sometimes where the price just all of a sudden skyrockets. It is expensive, don't get me wrong. You know, a flight to Honduras or Mexico, you're looking at almost $2,000 for the flight alone. For the flight alone. And just getting all the paperwork together can get really complicated. So
It's like flying first class.
almost, yes, exactly. Yep,
Oh my God.
just about. And I mean, they fly.
En vida no pudieron, pero en muerte sí.
pero, yeah. So
Ay, Diosito, you know my heart.
Perdónala.
So what are the key services that you offer that resonate? I mean, I wouldn't say with the young families, but also like with Hispanics and everything like that. What are those services?
in general, so most Latinos, I think the key thing we want, and I don't know if it's maybe in a song or something back home, but we want to go back home. Like, queremos regresar a la tierra. Like, most of us do.
That's true.
So just, you know, traditional funeral services, and then the envío, ya regreso, traslado, you know,
The shipping.
entierro a su país. So Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, wherever, República Dominicana.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just like this thing that families need. It's like a closure for them to go back home.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that you're saying, because I don't think, like, just regular funeral services here have that option a lot of times, because they're not tailored for Hispanics. See, Hispanics, that's a humongous thing. There's, I want to say that the percentage of Hispanics that the family decides to keep the body here, it's very, very small, because at least literally everybody that I've known that has passed away here, it's a thing of sending the body back. So if you go to any regular funeral home where there is no connection to Hispanics or nobody that speaks Spanish, I don't think they would understand how big that is, you know?
So it's like, now that we're talking about that, right? Because I wanted to go step by step, but that's really good right there, because it's things that we needed to talk about. Like I told you, I asked some people, well, things that you would like to know and everything like that. And I guess, so one of the comments that I heard is that I hear that a lot of Hispanic families are not very pleased, right? With, I mean, they do mention, can I mention funeral homes or no?
No, let's not mention any.
Right? Okay, well, they're really displeased.
But tell me, I'm just kidding.
Well, I can show you
we'll
right
put
here.
it in the comments.
You know what I mean? They are really displeased with some funeral homes, right? Because they feel they're ignored, either by the employees, the people there, and stuff like that, right? Once they pay, they're just chaito, pues. You know, like, you pay for your things, they don't give you what you ask for, and then you don't even know who to even go for, and, you know. So what set you guys different from those? Like, what is something
So I really want to do, this is a small funeral services, company, and we are dedicated to each and every family. We're not going to be a big funeral home with tons of space and tons of rooms and doing multiple, we want to connect with the community, do services within the community. So we're connecting with churches that are already existing, that have Spanish-speaking pastors. But we're going to be hiring Spanish-speaking staff. So when they need something there, they can speak to them in Spanish. Porque ese es el problema. O sea, there's no one there. They don't have anybody there que hable el idioma that speaks to them. And, si dicen, no, pues quiero esta canción. I've gone to funerals before at other places, and they'll put music thinking, oh, Latino, like this music. And I walk in, and it's it's like salsa music during the funeral service. And I'm like, no. Like, they don't want salsa.
Yeah, they're not trying to celebrate nothing. You don't know in that way.
Right. And Latinos, we're all very different. You're Dominican, Mexican.
Yeah.
And, we celebrate or we grieve very differently.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mexicanos, we typically are much more, a quiet prayer and really a grieving period versus like Morenos or African Americans. It's more of a celebration of life, but I know we might get into that a little bit.
I was about to say, that was one of the questions, how are funerals different across cultures, white, black, Latino communities, what are some unique things that you've seen?
I mean, we could talk about this for days, but I mean, every culture is different. Just how we grieve is different. And then we have to be able to cater to each family. I know, each family is going to be a little different. So just being able to put special things in there. For example, Mexicanos. If we're Catholic, typically we want our Virgen de Guadalupe there. So I have a big Virgen de Guadalupe that can be placed there. And then just, if they're not Catholic, just having the appropriate songs.
Cafecito, pan.
Agua, food is a big part.
A big thing,
And then evening services, typically we're not doing a velorio early. A lot of them want velorios all night, which I can't always offer. It just depends on the space and availability and safety. Safety is always a big concern.
We're in Memphis.
But we want but we want to be able to give them at least some piece of their culture, because a lot of times the family that's making the arrangements, they're not going back to Honduras or Mexico.
They can't.
They can't.
So most of the time they can't.
So this is the despedida.
Their goodbyes, and then they send their body, and then whoever is there take care of it.
And then takes care of it. So it's really, you have to be able to manage them, and then just having their own space. Sometimes we would run into funeral services where maybe we had cultural clashes, just, a visitation, and there's, an African American family in one room and a Hispanic family in another. And culturally, they're just so different. African Americans, we tend to be more, joyful and gleeful.
It's a celebration.
Of life.
And
it's much more casual versus a Mexican service. They're there to pray. They might be doing the rosario at that time, and it's just, you can't put the two together.
I know.
And those are little things that I can help the families guide them through.
And I don't know if you said at the beginning, but for those that don't know, you are half black, half Mexican, right? Because I'm sure that a lot of people is wait, hold on.
Why are you talking?
Why are you speaking Spanish, or why are you saying we in the African American? It's she has what I call the best of both worlds, right? So that's why you're so.
Soy mexicana.
Exactly, and speaks. Y
americana, pero I do have my dual citizenship, so I am Mexican.
Yes,
and
there you go.
Very proud.
Too.
Here it is. That's what it is.
Okay, so have you ever attended a funeral that really stood out to you?
Good way or bad way?
Whatever way you want.
Whichever way, and what made it so memorable. So, good way or bad way? Because I can think. I'm not even going to start talking, but.
Okay, good way, I think. For me, the funerals that just resonate with me are the ones that just have great music that you just connect to, and that just bring out those happy moments with the family. We had this one family that brought a local band. It was called Banda.
Like a mariachi or something?
No, it was Conrado or
Corridos?
They did play corridos.
Yeah, what type of banda was that? Like a Mexican banda?
It was a Mexican banda. And I want to say,
that's so cool.
But I want to say the decedent was Honduran. But it was great because like his compadres were all Mexican, you know, like all the ones that were
And maybe
here.
that's what type of music he liked.
And it might have been the music he liked, but the band, I think, really focused on songs about like friendship and brotherhood and like, and it was
so
just really, really nice
amazing.
because I would just step in there and I was like, these songs are so on point.
Exactly.
And I was like, did you know him? They're like, no, we didn't know him, but you felt like those songs were made for him, and then it was live, and live music
that's so amazing.
always is great. It's like se me enchinaba el pelo, like everything. Like I just loved it.
Wow.
Bad services.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's always grieving, so dealing with the different personalities, I would say my worst experience was just when I had to have 2 services for a family just because the family couldn't get along. You know, we want to give everyone the opportunity to say goodbye to their loved one, but we also want to do that in a way that's safe for everyone, that's and keep it professional.
Exactly, yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you just have to pivot, you know, and we only get one shot at providing this service. And so if I have to, you know, spend a little money to just accommodate the family, that is my job, to accommodate them as much as I can.
To make them feel as comfortable.
To make them feel as comfortable and, you know, and to put their loved one to rest. You know, we don't want to delay this more than it needs to. And so that was probably one of...
I love that. I feel like your services are very tailored and very personalized.
Yeah.
And very like, I care about you, you know? And your
I almost said something like, I can't wait till somebody dies so I can tell you.
Stupid.
Oh, God.
Well, you ain't got to wait long. We are in Memphis. Might be happening right now.
Oh, my God. But you know that actually she got the case that I told you, that you told me about, that we spent the whole night looking for.
So that's going to be in your...
Yeah.
Well, we're about to talk about it. Because I know the Hispanics
you want to talk
know.
about it?
Do we need to talk about it?
No, I'm
No.
saying she had mentioned something about in the beginning. You said when you get killed over a stupid joke in
Yeah.
Hispanic communities, you know. And I was gonna say I went to Michoacana yesterday and I saw the little cajita for the fundraising and stuff. But that's amazing that it's gonna be. I was thinking about that as she's talking. I'm like, I wish I knew.
It is so funny. Well, I mean, it's not funny. The whole situation is not funny.
No.
But it's just like I was after we hang out that day. I think I hang out with you right the next day or 2 days after. So I was telling them about it, and then she called me and she was like, you know.
Oh, that's great.
And I was like, that's good because at least I know that they're in good hands. You know what I mean? Like
That
I'm
the
just
family
hearing
is
you
gonna be
talking,
taken care of.
It's kind of like, okay, we know that they're gonna be taken care of well.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the main things that I've seen a lot of Hispanics funerals is just like.
They just don't feel like heard. They don't feel like, you know, I think it makes it harder on them than easier on them, which I feel like that's something you try to do is like take as much as you can off of their shoulders so that they can
Absolutely.
focus on what is really important,
Absolutely.
which is your loved ones and saying goodbye.
And just making sure that like a piece of them is seen in the service, you know, like,
Yeah.
and that I understand, like, if you want a mariachi at the cemetery, like, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
And we just have to coordinate with the cemetery so that they know, like, okay, pues viene el mariachi, they're going to be an hour, and just making sure, like, because it's a lot of coordinating, you know, cemeteries, the church, vehicles getting in and out of the cemetery. Like, it's a lot of moving pieces that we have to arrange. And if it's not made clear from the beginning with all those involved, then it can get
messy, like
it can get messy really quick.
It's crazy
and
because
then they blame it on you.
And then they
when
put-
it's like, yo, just didn't follow the rules or something.
I never thought there was so much that goes into it. I don't know why. Like, you know, because
we just go. We just
go. And and I never thought that. But the banda thing is really amazing. The last funeral I went to, they had this very sad music playing, but it wasn't nobody singing. It was just music, you know, just like a tone. But it was so sad. It's like we're already sad, and now this music is even sadder.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
Comando Activo. Shout out to y'all.
See, even the name of the band is like I want them in my funeral.
I think they're local. Yeah, they're local, and they
know.
were just. It was a couple of guys. They were just really, really great, and I'm like, y'all need to do more funerals. But
Exactly.
I mean, it was very loud, but it was just.
That would be one of
Perfect.
those things that would clash
Exactly.
if you have two different services going on at the same time.
Yes.
You know.
Now I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna lie though. When I was little, I used to love funerals in DR. Because in DR, so you know how you were talking about everybody has their own ways of grieving and the way that they do funerals?
Yes.
In DR, you cannot have a funeral without there is these little sandwiches. I always be fatty. There's these little sandwiches. I have to ask my mom what they're made of, but it kind of like it tastes a little bit like a pimento cheese type of thing, but they make it with like ham and a bunch of stuff.
I gotta look that up.
They mix it up and they spread it on the little sandwiches, like those regular sandwiches, right? And then they cut it. They cut the borders and they just cut it like in the middle. So you just have these little triangular little things. So good with coffee.
You were just waiting for somebody to die.
Johnny was on the line like 3-4 times. Whatever time they allow her to be. She would get on the line, get the little thing, they go outside. Then Johnny will come back and you hear
Me da tres, por favor.
Yeah, that's in the art. And that's the thing, so I used to always look forward, I remember.
To funerals.
Until my mom started making them for my birthday so I could chill.
So you went like as a kid to funerals?
Yeah, so that's the thing too. They always used to bring us to the funerals, like since we were little.
Yeah.
Here, I don't know. Something that is cultural shocking for me is to see, let's say we African Americans, right? How, like you say, it's a little more informal. So it's like they can go to the funeral with like jeans and stuff like that. To me, that has always been disrespectful because to us, it's like when somebody passed away.
It's
I
like
don't know. It's a formal thing. It's like a formal goodbye. So you go dress well.
Maybe
stuff
for
like
the
that.
visitation. The visitation, which is the difference. Like there's a visitation, which is typically the night before, velorio in Espanol, and then there's the service. So the visitation for African Americans typically is a little bit more less formal.
Yeah.
And then the service, I've gone to services that are like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's true. No, they have the best attire, and that's true. Maybe that's what it is. Is like to us, in the art, you die today. Tomorrow we're doing everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're going down and everything. It's like tomorrow is the last day you
But
see
you
that
already
person.
went down if you died.
You're going deeper. Anyways,
She said you're going deeper. Deeper down.
you go down
To
and go
hell?
to hell. Anyways, God, you know our hearts. But yeah, so that's to me. That's why it was kind of like a shock that it's like the visitation. You go more informal because it's the day before, like you said, and that's true. Now I learn all the stuff, so I know that for the visitation we just.
I think that was a shock to me too when I saw this funeral of a friend, and it was a black family, and so everybody wore white, and to me it was like, that's so disrespectful to us because to us it's like we're known you wear black, right? Now I guess that has changed, I guess, here because in Mexico it is what it is. Mexico, and I think Hispanic communities with their funerals in our home country, they're very like respectful and very this and very that. Here I think Hispanics have kind of like accommodated and kind of like, a little bit more laid back. But everybody wore white because it's known, at least for black families, it's like it's a celebration of life.
Yeah.
You tell a Mexican family, like, it's a celebration, and they're going to smack you in the face. Like, what do you mean?
I'm dead, celebrating nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, that was like, oh, wow. Like, I would never wear white to a funeral, but I understood that it's different, you know.
It's just different. And I mean, they've had some that are like color coordinated. Also, football is a big thing. People will football, American football. They will have themed football like funerals. That is like
I have seen that. The
Cowboys.
Yep.
That's
Those are the ones we
crazy.
know.
Cowboys.
So what's the craziest or most unexpected thing that somebody has requested at a funeral, like funeral service?
The craziest thing
Yeah.
that they've
The craziest
requested?
request, that you've
That you
received.
like, we're gonna make it happen, by Jesus.
I know.
But you're pushing it right
I
now.
was like, bring me a unicorn. Oh God, you got me on the spot. I can't think of one right now off the top of my head.
I mean, you got that grupo, but I don't know if they
The
requested
grupo,
it.
no, like the family brought that in last minute. I mean, typically, a lot of families, they want some, they want alcohol sometimes. And so sometimes you have to be careful with where it becomes a slippery slope.
Can you serve?
I cannot serve.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen plenty of people in the back of their cars drinking.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
they pour
yeah.
one for the homie. And,
Yeah.
but craziest request, I don't know. I'm going to think about that a
Okay.
little more.
And now,
wanna
that
say-
one about the cowboy stuff. I mean, wearing like the football
Yeah.
themes.
Like the themed funerals.
Fully themed, like everyone's in silver and blue. The casket's wrapped with the Cowboys logos and stuff. He's in Cowboys gear, And I tell people, like, as far as when we're getting them dressed, they can wear whatever you like. Like if there's a favorite jersey, or like if he was, caballero and su sombrero, like bring a sombrero. Like make them look the way that they were. Like don't dress them in something that they didn't always wear.
I want to say one thing for me that was always like, and I don't know if this is like a Latino thing or if this is just, but I always thought it was like a Latino thing of having like an open casket regardless of how the person died and how, like, because I remember when I was very little and we went to a funeral, I was probably had to be like 6 years old, 5, in my home country in Mexico. And this person, he died because I think he was a truck driver and he had an accident, but there was like something that happened, like something went through his head pretty much. And they decided to have an open casket. And I remember me, curious little Rosita, of course I'm gonna go up there and look at it. What do you mean? And they had like a little teepee gorrito, like, here. But I remember.
And his face look okay?
I mean, it was a little messed up, But that's the thing. I was like, why do people, it's a personal preference. But I always felt like Hispanics are like, ábremelo, regardless of how it looks, like, open the casket.
I mean, I think it just depends, but it's part of the grieving process. I think sometimes, especially when you're doing this funeral arrangements, like you're moving, you meet with the funeral director, you gotta pay, you gotta get this, you gotta get that. And it's like not until you see your loved one there, I think, does it hit. My dad died when I was 21. I was in college. It was very sudden. And it was like, it wasn't until I saw him in the casket that like it hit me that this is real. Because like, I flew home, saw my mom, had family. We met with the priest. We met with the church. We were just moving the whole time. And I hadn't really stopped to be like...
to grieve.
He's
to
not...
soak it all in.
To soak it in until you, like, see it. So sometimes, funeral homes, we will do our best to ensure that they can see their loved one because I think it is an important part of the healing process and to really make it a reality. But sometimes, we might tell them and pull them aside, like, let's make this private or let's not let the kids show or like maybe just the immediate family only, depending on the situation. But see,
it rough.
Even you being little and you saw that body, like you still remember that.
Exactly. That made an impact.
That funeral, like I will forever remember that.
Yeah, and that shouldn't have.
Where's my mama was at?
You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be kind of emotional too, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But, things that we have to talk about, right? Like, just in case of. Just in case of. Because that's one thing that we know for sure after we leave. Well, after we are born.
After we leave, we're going to die.
After you're born, that's the next for sure thing. Is that you're going to die.
That's a big thing that I feel like people don't want to. Nobody wants to talk about death,
exactly.
Right? And a lot of, like I tell my mom now, because she's always like, oh, I got this money, but antes de yo morirme, I'm going to spend all my money. Y'all are not going to have anything. And I'm like, who's going to pay for your funeral? I'm like, yo te voy a cremar. She's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, well, then you better leave some money.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding. But no, people don't think about that.
They don't. And it's really important. I mean, even if you don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, I think it's important to talk to your parents or to your loved one, your spouse or whatever about what do you want? And what do you not want? Because it does come down to price. And, if your mom is adamant that she doesn't want to be cremated, but what if you didn't know that?
I'm like, you don't get to choose though.
That is really good though, like you said, to talk about. Because I remember that one time, those long drives that we're having with our significant other. And I remember telling Jacoba, like, hey, if you die, like, what would you like? And then he said, oh, I know that you would like that when you die, I send you to the ER. And I was like, why? And he was shocked. He was like,
like, I don't want to be sent to Mexico.
I was like, babe, my kids are from here. They just know here.
Yeah.
Even though they might travel to the ER, this is their homeland. And I feel like Memphis is home now too. So I want them to be able to get to me. So I want to be here. And he was like, oh, wow, I'm glad I asked you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad we talk about this because I will have been pissed.
Those are important conversations.
I will be in the sky like, boy, going to heaven. I'll be in heaven like, boy, bring me back. Because it's important to talk about.
It's a taboo in the Hispanic community. You don't just call your parents and be like, what do you want me to do when you die? Because they'll be like, ya me estás deseando la muerte.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But you have to talk about
it's best to talk about. I mean, unfortunately, I think the best time to talk about it is when it happens, or like somebody you know it's happened to, because it's like something you can circle back around to. Like I've had the conversation with my mom. My mom's from Mexico, a very, very, very small town, San Luis Potosí, Axla de Terraza, San Luis Potosí. And you know, it's really small, and I don't go back. We don't go back to San Luis to like Axla as much as we do like La Capital or something. So I was like, do you want me to bury you in Mexico? So we had a long discussion about it, and you know, we've decided what to do and whether, you know, was she okay with cremation? There is an option to kind of have a traditional funeral service and then cremate. So, you know, because she does want, you know, she's traditional Catholic. Like we want, you know, la misa de la resurrección, the whole misa and everything. But then it's like, can we do cremation and then take the ashes down to Mexico? Because I'm here. Her grandson is here. Her husband is here.
But it's like, do you want to be buried by your...
but there's just that, you know, that song, Llévame a mi tierra, like, you know, just take me back. And so we've discussed it. And so just having that discussion makes it easy.
Like I just asked Jacoba the other day because I saw on TikTok. I was like, if I die, right? And...
When
I die, exactly.
Yeah, because it's not if.
Yeah, that's true. When I die, and then you get remarried, when you die, would you want to be like buried by me or by your wife, by your new wife? You know. And this man was like,
that's a hard ass question.
Oh wait, and I got something for you on that one. Because he's military too.
Tell me about it.
So you get military. If he was honorably discharged, you can be buried at a military cemetery.
Yeah, he gonna be like, "Fuck you, bitches."
and so like I've had that discussion too with my husband because he's military, and I was like, "Great, I got a free spot for burial."
Good to know.
You're like, I'm not even gonna ask you. You already know where you're going.
But he's like adamant that he doesn't want to go to a veteran cemetery. Okay. But yeah, you have. You know,
at that.
He's a veteran.
So you have to have good friends around you.
But like,
teach you stuff like that.
And little things like that, just like going back to cemetery and funerals, you know, letting the community know about things like that, like benefits. Also, you know, we do have a lot of crime here in Memphis. And so there are things that they can apply for that the state offers.
That's amazing.
So victims compensation is sometimes something that they qualify for, but you
especially
have to apply.
living in Memphis with all of the crime.
Exactly.
I want to say a lot of the deaths that are happening now are going to be because of the crime versus like, you know, I mean, of course there's also accidental deaths and this and that, but because our crime is so high right now, you know, there's a lot of victims.
But it's really good, like you say, it's like you need somebody that tell you, hey, I know you're grieving right now, but I want you to know your options as well and benefits enough.
This is why having a funerary service where they speak your own language is so important. You know, to be able to like, just talk all of this out and know what are your options.
And talking to the adults, because a lot of times, you know, they'll send in a child or a teenager to translate, and a lot of stuff gets lost in translation.
I know. I was about to say, you send my daughter there, that person's going to end up being sent to Honduras, and you know what I'm saying. But you know, after I leave here, I'm gonna call my mom and my dad and be like, "What do you want?" I'm just kidding.
No, I mean,
just do it.
I've already had the conversation.
You can be like, "Hey, mom, today
they both want to be sent back to our home country."
Okay. That's right there. You have to know that you need at least $2,000 each for flight. We already learned that.
Yeah. And my mom 100% does not want to be cremated. And I always joke around with her and be like, "Mommy, it's okay. You know, I'm gonna keep half of you with my sisters." I always joke around.
And she wants to kill you, no?
Yeah. She always says. She's always like, "Por eso si te ven llorando in my funeral, les voy a decir que te corran." And I'm like, "You won't be able to, mommy." I just be playing, but she always talking about she's gonna leave us with nothing. So that is why I joke around with her. If she would say, "Te voy a dejar $1 millón a ti, $1 millón a tu hermana," I wouldn't joke, you know?
Yeah.
The conversation would be different.
Yeah.
But a good conversation also is, well, who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Who is going to pay for it?
Yeah, because my mom is
like,
I want this, I want that, I want this, but it's like, it sounds like a lot of freaking money.
Yeah. My mom is always like, not me. So.
Do we have insurance or something that will cover for things like
Yeah.
that?
So you can get like a life insurance policy. You would just have to talk to somebody that sells life insurance. It's always best to get it when you're young
Yeah.
because it's a little bit cheaper. And then see if you can get it for your parents too. And you can start paying on it for your parents if you want to.
Exactly.
And it's all contractual. So you can name who's the beneficiary. So when they pass, you're listed as a beneficiary, so you would be the one to take it in. And then you can use it typically at the funeral homes. They do what's called an assignment on the policy proceeds. And so those can be forwarded to the funeral home to help pay for the funeral service that week. So
Maybe
you're
I
not
should-
waiting.
Maybe we both should do that.
No.
You know, with like what we work at, we should just get life insurance for our parents. So when it happens, we're kind of ready in a way.
We're
Like,
kind
you
of
know.
covered, Because I know, like, for Hispanics, like, you always see the little cajitas in the stores and in fundraising. Like, when something happens, it's always like, they always rely a lot on community, you know?
And you know, it's luckily we have a community that does give. So, you know, that's one beautiful thing about Memphis too, is that the community gives.
They come together.
They come together and they really give. You know, you see them on Facebook, they're sharing and sharing and they put the cajitas out and you know, they give.
That's the amazing part.
But it's not, you know, but we as a community also need to take responsibility and how are we going to pay for our end of life? And who's going to be responsible? And like, am I going to leave this to my brother? Am I going to leave this to somebody else? Or
That's one thing I know I've definitely thought about, like, okay, before I transition, I definitely want to leave everything, like, you know, the money set aside. And even some people buy like their plots or their lots. Is it plots? Ahead of time. And they kind of like, some people even go to the funeral house beforehand. And it's like, I want to arrange my funeral, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not being morbid or being, you know, it's just...
Hey, you're just planning ahead.
You're just planning ahead. And you're taking,
and
you're taking that away from your loved ones who, in the moment, all they want is to grieve. So you're taking all of that away from them, you know?
Yeah.
One time I had a family that the decedent wrote down instructions. Every single thing. What she wanted to wear in her casket, what color casket she wanted. She wrote down what scripture to read
that's so amazing.
at her church.
She
And
thought about the whole thing.
who was going to read it?
Oh.
On a little piece of paper.
Yeah.
And the family like brought it in and they were like, these are the instructions. And it's great. Like, I mean, you can do instructions any way you want. I mean, you can email them, you can do them, you can write them out, you can put them in a contract. But I mean, just getting them written and sharing it with somebody.
Exactly.
Makes
That's
it
so
so much easier.
amazing.
So the family didn't have to decide anything. They didn't have to decide what she was wearing. The lady had even the hat she was going to wear picked out.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
So since our time is kind of running, I just would like to ask you 3 questions.
Oh, Lord.
Right. It's like, since Rosa was saying, like, we always see the cajitas, right? Trying to send the body. And that's normally what it is. They always be like, they're from Guatemala. How can we send the body? Like, help us to send the body. How do you guys help, right? Like, our Hispanic families to send the bodies back to where they come from? What set you guys apart from all the funeral services that we have here in Memphis, right? Which I think I know that part, but I would like you to say, and what services you guys offer, right? So the community to know, and like that we can.
We're just a refresher so everybody knows before we leave.
Exactly.
Okay, so at La Paloma, we are a smaller funeral services facility, and so we can keep our prices down. So our prices are going to be a lot cheaper, and we know how to get the bodies back to the home country. So my goal is always get them back quickly. So some funeral homes will tell them, oh, it's going to be 2 months before we can ship. Yeah, but no, it's just sometimes they just don't know how to do the paperwork.
Oh, so they're trying to find out, do the research.
So it might take them a little bit longer, but I can typically get everything moving within about 15 days-ish.
Oh,
it just
amazing.
depends. It really just depends on the situation, but pretty quickly.
Exactly.
And then we offer services that are traditional. We offer services where maybe it's just a ship out, you know, maybe there's no family here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
and
that is like,
a lot of
that's
times,
good.
like the consulates will call if they have a citizen of theirs that needs to be shipped back, and so we'll work with them and ship them back, and then they have the services back in their home country.
Yeah.
And we also offer cremation. So if a family is looking for a cremation, we can help them with that and cremate, and then do the services, and just kind of guide them to do whatever services that they may want. Now, I'm also working very closely with the community. So, like, I want this to be a community funeral home. You know, I want the community to be involved. I want the churches to be involved. I want businesses that are already existing to be involved. So I'm really trying to support the churches, small businesses. So, like, I'm getting pan, you know, from panaderias here in town. You know, just little things that we can do to kind of help each other.
It's the details.
Because, like, I want to, like, you know, I want them to do business with me, but I want to do business with them.
Exactly.
You know,
you want everybody to be able to benefit from this.
Everybody to benefit. And, you know, when you meet these families and you start talking to them, like, we're all business owners. We all have our own business. And, you know, or, you know, we're working for somebody. We want to be able to support each other. So I want to be able to give back to the community and help as much as possible. So, you know, at La Paloma, you know, we'll try to keep the services as cheap as possible. We'll work with you as much as we can and just really get them back buried and back home or whatever it is that they want to do and just lay them to rest. So.
I love that. So how can people find you guys? Where do they find you?
That's the logo.
Yep.
So La Paloma. So we have an office over on Winchester, but you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. So we'll be posting information on there, and that's typically the best way to find us.
Is it La Paloma Funeral Service?
Yeah.
La Paloma Funeral Services.
Okay,
La Paloma
got it.
Funeral
And we're going to
Services.
tag her on her Instagram post, on her social media post. We'll tag the funeral services there as well.
Also, thank you so much for our gifts.
Oh, yes.
She brought us gifts. Other guests learn.
For all of y'all that have been here, Jacoba has been here multiple times.
I know, right?
Where's our gift?
Yeah, this is since it's noon today, you know, we couldn't be drinking yet.
No,
but for later, you know.
Yeah, that's why we have cafecito today. We're just having coffee, just something chill for the day and everything. But thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you for having me.
This was fun. I mean,
this is really
it was educational and fun.
Educational, but
I mean, we still had a good time.
Yes.
We still
I
had
think
a good
for
time.
the Latino community, for the community in Memphis, this was great. You know, especially with the
This is
time
great
we're going through
information.
right now. Like, this was amazing. I'm starting to think that we should have done this episode in Spanish.
probably.
Yeah. I mean, we can just do it. We can do another one. Like,
in Spanish.
yeah, maybe get more questions from
The community,
exactly, for the
Okay, that'll
Hispanic
be
community
great.
to see what they would like to know in Spanish, and we can answer it to them.
Yep.
But I mean, it was great because I mean, I feel like a lot of people that are gonna be listening to this maybe are the bilinguals ones.
Yeah, like the kid.
Exactly.
Well, not
They
kids,
can
but
say
you know,
like, "Oh, mom, you know, I know these people that are here that can help us with abuelita, with a tia, whatever." You know what I mean? So stuff
This
like
was
that.
amazing. So, guys, please remember to follow La Paloma Funeral Services on social media. They're also located on Winchester Avenue.
Yes.
Remember to follow us.
Yes.
Yeah. So Latinas with a mic. We also Johnny Phil.
Just another Isela.
Yeah. And that's it. I hope you'll have a great rest of your day.
Oh,
Remember-
subscribe. Don't forget.
Subscribe to YouTube. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
down
Yeah,
below.
right.
Comment and subscribe. Okay.
Don't
All right.
remember to be kind
Love one another.
and don't be stupid.
Bye.
Bye.